Hey now, welcome to the Dirty Side of the Track, America's leading Formula One podcast. I'm Brian, that's Rob. If you stayed up in the middle of the night or woke up really early to watch the Japanese Grand Prix, I'd like to apologize formally on behalf of all of F1. Rob, how are you, man?
Not happy. Not happy at all.
You
This,
stayed up, didn't you?
I stayed up. No, I got up. I went to bed for 3 hours. I got up at 1 a.m. or 5 to 1, and then regretted it for approximately 90 minutes before going back to bed and enjoying every minute of sleeping again, way more than I enjoyed any aspect of the race. Going to go on record and say I think one of the worst Grand Prix I've ever had the misfortune of watching. And I'm even going to put the Monaco snooze fest up there when they had cushions, because at least there's good quality the day before it.
Yeah, definitely.
This, but we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll do news and social, video vault, and the world's fastest race review ever. Because there was nothing to talk about, like nothing to talk about. Um, Bahrain preview, and hopefully we'll get to do our next picks of the casino games because everyone seems to love it so
I
much that we're going
apparently,
to
and I
do
have
another
not
one.
thought about it. I'm not
No,
prepared, so it's
I
going to
know.
be off
So
the cuff. I can't wait to just
exactly.
do it as we have. Can I just say this though? Japan is the land of the samurai, a fierce and noble warrior. And I can honestly say, samurai don't want to watch that race again. Sorry, that's all I
Right
got.
now, by the time you guys are listening
Boo.
to this, you'll know which one we picked. But the most excitement I had was trying to work out if I was going to rip off another movie poster for the episode title, and either have Sleepy in Suzuka, uh, done in 60 seconds, or Sleepy Follow. I'm not quite sure which movie I'm going to rip off, but you'll know by the time you're listening to this. Anyway, let's get into it.
And here's the thing: as we get into it, it was building up to be great.
Oh, it was
It's a
built up
great
great. We had
track, great liveries, special liveries launched, and we'll talk about them here now. Red Bull and Haas came out with these special liveries. I loved the Haas in particular, and in a still photo in their promotional
yes,
video, I was all for it. And then on our Discord, join us on the Discord. Rob pointed out after practice and into Qualy, it's just a blur of pink. You can't see the petals, the cherry blossoms. You can't see the
yeah.
special kind of
It didn't
design.
work
You're
on
right.
track.
You're right. I hate to
It
say it.
didn't
You're
work on
right.
track. Yeah. If you want one to hang on the wall and have a poster of, beautiful looking livery with all the promotional stuff around it, just didn't pop on track. I think Red Bull won the special livery award
Agreed.
for me
Agreed.
because it worked well on track as well.
Totally agree. And
What,
then,
what did you find here? What's
oh,
this?
I plumbed the depths of the news. There was not much news, and there weren't many
No.
videos. Like this was, we should have taken that as the lead up to a bad race. Lewis loves to go bowling, and in particular loves apparently to go in Japan. I don't know. I'm learning this. And so the Ferrari team went bowling, and Lewis posted on Instagram a bunch of pictures, and the whole team is basically there, and it looks like they're having fun. And I love seeing this, right? Like a team building kind of thing. They're doing their thing. Antonio's in the picture, Lewis and Charles. You see, like, Fred, all the people you would anticipate seeing. But you can see the scores. And the scores aren't good for just about any. Do they not bowl in Italy? Is that not a thing? I don't know. Like a bunch of 40s and 50s and 60s, and as someone who bowls, that's still pretty bad. And then Charles, I'm assuming, is the CL at the top. 68, two game total, 158. That's terrible. But Lewis, 165 with a two game total of 321. He's a 160 bowler. That's not bad at all. So that's my news there, that Lewis Hamilton is apparently a good bowler.
Wow. And then this one just it depresses me now because when I found this, I thought it was interesting. I thought we might be able to see if it happened in the race, but because the race involved no action whatsoever,
No yellow
we didn't.
flags, no red
There's
flags, no
nothing.
safety.
So,
I would have taken a track fire. I would have taken a grass
oh
fire
my
at this
God,
point.
so would I. So would I. So what I found was a safety cars. The FIA are, for Japan onwards, issuing a new circuit map and event notes to kind of show drivers where is the best place to pull over if you're not an accident, but if your car's posting and you're able to pull it over, try and pull it over somewhere that's easy to recover so we don't get red flags for no reasons, which makes loads of sense. And they want to add it in to the software used on the cars as well. It'll almost be like Waze for F1 drivers, but to tell you where the safer places to pull over, where there's places. And they also said they're going to start putting fluorescent orange paint on the barriers where there is a big enough gap to move the car through quickly. Oh, this is great. Let's see how this plans out. Let's see if cars, when they retire or have incidents this weekend, will utilize this. No, because nothing happens. just so bad.
Do you think if they
That's
drive by, like if Lance Stroll's going in the gravel and then someone else has a problem, they can hit a button like
they can report
stalled
it.
car, and they can just report stalled car as they go by? Um, yeah,
Oh
fascinatingly,
man.
my wife gets trigger happy on those buttons when we're on the expressway and they pop up, and I'm driving. I'm not going to lean over all the time and hit the button. She'll just report police. She just starts doing all kinds of random stuff. So apologies in advance. But maybe with no news, we should open the video vault, shall we?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, I did find a couple videos, two, three videos to highlight, and one of them will beget a conversation here in a second. The first one, I bought a real Formula One car on the Whistlin' Diesel channel, which is apparently a channel watched by a lot because 5 days this video's been out, 6.5 million views. Yeah, exactly. And he has a
Wow.
lot of other videos with significant, tens of millions of views. I don't watch the Whistlin' Diesel channel. He went somewhere in Europe and actually bought a real Formula One car. Now, he bought a shell, which is pretty common where people rehabilitate shells of cars. You don't get an engine, you don't get a gearbox, you usually don't even get brakes. You do often get authentic tires, not always, and they have history, they have pedigree, these cars. So I'm curious, Rob, if you open the little picture there in the notes, you can see the ones I saved for you. Although I did cut off half the prices, so let's pretend I didn't do that. If you go to, and this is for everybody, if you're listening at a place where you can open a browser, gpcarsforsale.com. Now, the 4 is the number. So gpcars, the number 4, sale.com. And you click through to their Formula One cars listings. And you may want to mute the tab because they play some horrendous music in the background, which I could not stand after sitting there looking at the cars with the real thought of saying, wow, what would I buy? I almost threw my laptop out the window with the same race sound in the background. Now, that said, they have, if you had about 100,000 euros, let's say, because they have some cars with engines, it's aftermarket, secondhand, redone engines, which are $600,000, 600,000 euros. But they do have shells. They've got the Super Aguri. They've got, the BMW Williams FW23 I really liked, but it was a show car. It was never raced. It was just put together for sponsors. So does that matter? The pedigree, there's a Sauber.
That's
There's the Leighton House. There's all kinds of stuff. But the one that caught my eye, the BAR Honda, driven by Jack Villeneuve, 165,000 euros. Now, it's just a rolling chassis. But that looks cool. Actually, race driven. That was my favorite one of the ones that are available.
Yeah, you said to me like if you had 100,000, what would you spend on, and would you spend any extra money to do
Because there
any
was one that was
others?
95. I think
Yeah, I was
the
gonna
show
say
car.
no. I think the show car. I'd have that. If you give me 100,000, I don't care. It's not race. It looks brilliant. I don't have to pay any more money. Next.
There you go. Anyway, so that was the video that caught my eyes as he bought the car. And then on the Formula One channel, how well do F1 drivers know their teammates from Formula One? It's one of the things they do every year where they get to know the drivers. It was fun. 11 minutes. It's like half the grid doing this with their teammates. It was okay. It's not a must watch. I wouldn't say it like made my socks go up and down. However, and I don't have a link for this, Rob, we may have to find this when we put the notes together, but on Instagram, a video of Valtteri with the crazy camera he loves to do his, track rides on his bike his track descriptions, but on a roller coaster.
It's amazing.
It is amazing, and it's so insane. Mercedes literally said their note for this, quite possibly the best video we've ever made.
And when Pitlane Paul shared it on his Instagram, he put a tag at the front the beginning that said something like, "Every day I go today at work. Every day I go to work. This guy is my boss." And then underneath the video said, "And I love it," because it was
I
just
missed that.
Valtteri being Valtteri. It was just brilliant.
I missed that. That is brilliant. So anyway, Rob, anything to add before we close the vault?
Just shut it up.
Shutting it down. Shutting it up, shutting it down, shutting it sideways. It is closed. And then we get to practice.
Oh my gosh. And really, I mean, if you look back at it, hindsight's a wonderful thing. We just got a lot of foreshadowing here where practice, really nothing happened.
No.
All the potential excitement that could have happened got punctuated by lots of red flags, mainly in FP2, where we had the huge one for Duhan, where
Oh, yeah.
apparently Apparently, he left his DRS open because that's how it works on the PlayStation. So
I
he gave it a
guess
go.
that's what they're saying.
Um,
Like on a sweeping soft turn, if you're not going to hit the brakes, which would close the flap, close your DRS flap,
or lift off. I think lifting off the accelerator closes DRS as well. So he's
so
stayed foot to the floor.
but you have to close it or else you go in too fast with no downforce. You have to hit the
Yeah.
button. And he clearly didn't. They showed in the video the 3 greens or 4 greens on the left side of his wheel were on. So yeah, it was a massive crash, by the way. That was really scary. I'm happy he was
It
all
was,
right.
and it was. Glad there was all right. Then Alonso beached his car, and then we had 2 red flags for grass on fire, and all of that led to the fact that no one really got any like meaningful running in because it was stop, start, stop, start, stop, start.
Yuki did
So
look good in the Red Bull and FP1, which got people's hopes up a little bit, probably prematurely, considering he's had very little time in that car, zero time
yeah,
in that car. And as we learned during practice, and I did watch a little bit of FP3, and then Qualy, he was running a higher downforce setup. He had a bigger wing, and it looked big. I mean, it looked like a big rear wing and a heavier front wing than Max, which I think probably also kind of ruined his weekend. They thought that would be helpful. Turned out not.
anybody that turned up had their weekend ruined, so I wouldn't worry about it. Um, so
Jeez Louise, man. Tell me what
oh
you
my
really think of the
gosh,
Samurai. I don't want
no,
to
it
watch that
just
again.
oh gosh, it's killing me having to talk about it again, to be honest. Okay, so then Quali, like, oh, again, it wasn't that exciting, really. Lance Stroll just seems to not know how to drive around this track. Apparently, he's historically terrible at this. I didn't realize it, but
He was bad the whole weekend. In the
oh,
race, he was
terrible.
the only guy who got lapped. And even then, I'm like, how did it take this long?
I know. Uh, Duhan, Ocon, Bortoletto, and Hulk went out in Q1.
No big surprises.
No big surprises. Q2 probably did throw a couple of surprises up in terms of Sainz and Alonso. Well, no, Sainz and Alonso probably the car is at it is a Q2 exiter at the moment.
Yeah.
Gasly, I thought maybe might be able to make it through, but it was Lawson out qualifying Sonoda. Okay, literally only 14th to 15th, but that I thought might gonna give us some spice for the race. Oh, how wrong we were! But what that means is a name we haven't said right now is one Oliver Behrman.
Awesome.
Made it through to Q3. Did they say that's the first Q3 of his career?
I believe so.
I might have misheard that on the TV, maybe, but let's go with it. Let's just say it was. Well done, Ollie.
So you a good call on Ollie. I liked Alex in ninth. Alex, by the way, this is one of the few things I'm taking from the race. Very feisty on the radio this year. Much different Alex Albon on the radio this year.
Yeah.
Charles Leclerc also feisty this weekend. I loved when they said, and again, we're getting ahead. I'm going to drain the entire race bucket in Quali. Engine braking +1. He goes, I heard you before. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I love that.
That was,
And then the only shining light of everything that's happened so far is Max Verstappen threading together
oh,
a lap so amazing that even his own garage, when they showed the camera inside, almost went, how are we pole? I mean, he just absolutely nailed it. They were showing the speed differential that he was carrying into some of the corners compared to McLaren. Just the kahunas on him to be able to take that. I don't like Helmut Marko, but I think one of his comments was the G-force he was taking into some of those corners. Max isn't human.
well,
How's he putting up with those G's?
so first of all, Max, we've known he's the best driver on the grid for a while now, and he just proved it this weekend as a whole. Second of all, you mentioned kahunas. Can we talk about Isaac?
No.
So,
Yeah.
so that was a fascinating situation where he was having seat problems, and it wasn't, as they were speculating, him bumping the seatbelt and loosening it. It was his man region being crushed by the belts. And so racing bulls, more like crushing balls. And so I'm watching this, and I felt so bad for him. I mean, I don't know if I mean, like, I'm not. Let's pretend I was a race driver. I don't think I'd have the desire to finish that lap. I just like,
No.
done.
I'd be done. It's all over.
I would pull over
So
to one of the places on my Waze map on my car and
yes.
and turn it in and go, yeah, I'm not making it around.
I'd be using the hazard button to report groin area too tight. Anyway, what that meant was we had an absolute stellar performance from Max. He's on pole with both McLarens behind him. Everyone thought the Red Bull didn't have the pace to keep them at bay, so we were going to in for a spicy battle at the front. We had Liam alongside Yuki. Oh, yeah, the stories all over the grid. It's going to be absolutely amazing. In a break from tradition, would you mind if we played the Pitlane Paul review first? Because I just think it will help guide us for the rest of the race.
I can do that. And I almost played it without the intro, so let's start there. As always, it's time for Pitlane Paul.
Hey now, so that's, the cars have actually just finished the race. You might still hear them go around the track. Obviously, the checkered flags out. Let's go back to Friday. The only thing that really happened was Jack Doohan had a bit of a small accident at the first corner.
Okay.
What I find unusual, I guess, with this is why they actually put him in there in the first, put him in that situation. You know, he did do FP1. He's still a rookie. You've got Gasly, who has got the experience. So I find it a bit on the odd side that they decided to make that decision, and then it sort of went a little bit wrong for them, didn't it? Well, not for them, for him. And then for whatever reason, he left his DRS open. Now apparently there's talk that he was doing it in the simulator and it worked, but I guess when you're on the PlayStation and when you're actually doing, 250, 260k or whatever he was doing, it's marginally different. So hey ho, there we go. And then qualifying, Max, what a lap, can't complain. Showed why he's world champion, showed why he's excellent, all of those things. And I'm going to quickly push on to the race because I think that was probably one of the most exciting races I've seen in ages. You know, the way the cars started the race and they all left the grid, and then the chaos at turn one as they all went round there. And then for the next 10 laps, it was chop and change. There were cars, honestly, the close battles. It was so exciting to watch. And obviously then, the positional changes, the amount of this helicopter's load, but it was just exciting for a helicopter above it shows the excitement that it actually was here in Japan. And as for the finish, the change of positions in the last 5 laps between the top, say, 8 cars, it was breathtaking. What a Japanese Grand Prix. Roll on death, because that was arguably some of the worst hour and a half of my life watching that race. It was so boring. I tried to be enthusiastic for your podcast, but I really can't. I would honestly rather be awake during my own autopsy than have to watch that again. This helicopter is probably the most exciting thing that happened probably today. So anyway, that's Japan. I hope you guys have found something interesting to talk about. I haven't. And yeah. Wow. Well, jeez.
Amazing.
Just the reason I wanted you to play that because I listened to it earlier when it came through, and it just sums up everything. Everything he started with, all the sarcasm, is what I wanted it to be. Everything he went on to was what it was. It was just awful.
I'm not even gonna give this race stats. It doesn't deserve
No,
stats.
I mean, what really my heart sunk. Okay, the only highlight I can take away from this race, I really liked Jacques Villeneuve in the commentary booth. I thought he was pretty good. I thought he seems to have more knowledge than Crofty. So sometimes Crofty would say something and Jacques would almost go, "Yeah, that's kind of not how it works, Crofty." But the bit where my heart really went through the floor was, I don't even know. I kind of stopped really writing the lap notes in here because I was so bored. There were 3 cars in. It was about just over 10 laps in. There were 3 cars within DRS of each other. And something came on about a radio message about rear tire thermal regulated, restricted, whatever.
And they were debating too warm or too cold.
They were debating what did it mean. And then what I think it was Villeneuve basically said, essentially these tires can probably do the whole race. Because of the combination of Pirelli, don't even get me started on you, Pirelli. But Pirelli bringing the hardest tires in the range. I think it was C123.
It was.
With cooled track. No high temperature, no deg.
A little bit of moisture in the beginning to keep them even cooler.
God, it was just. This was probably the worst
One
of
DRS zone
recipes for
only.
a one DRS zone that isn't quite long enough. So it's one
Right.
of the, I hate DRSs that are push to pass like, but I also hate ones that are pointless like this one.
And there's very
Um,
few, we've known this. There aren't a lot of overtaking areas outside of that. The occasional move that someone will try to hang out on our 130R very rarely,
yes.
or at the end of it before the chicane, which happened I think once in this race. I think Albon pulled one there. Otherwise, it's hopefully main straight driven, and like you say, that's all there was. And by the way, I thought Jack was great as well. Are you talking about this Jack Villeneuve?
This is Jacques Villeneuve, and you're listening to the dirty side of the track.
Because that's the one I was thinking of.
That is the one. I mean,
I agree.
I don't even like. I could probably just say this in like 10 seconds, and then we can decide if or what we want to talk about for the rest of the race. Everyone gets away perfectly. No dramas at the front. Everyone then we get maybe one or two. I think we had Alonso and Gasman going wheel to wheel for lap
Yeah,
one.
that was it. The whole
Beyond
first
lap
lap.
one, then that was pretty much it for like almost forever. Where the only thing that kind of woke me out of my slumber was suddenly seeing a camera cut back to looking like Norris had crashed coming out of the pits. But actually, then when we saw the replay, he'd maybe got a bit too feisty trying to squeeze past on the grass, and that was. And then Max does an amazing job taking it to the end. Don't know whether he was purposely backing into Lando a little bit just to keep Lando in dirty air. He never seemed to want to let the McLaren. Never seemed to want to let the McLaren get too close. Never really pulled too far away. Just kept in that kind of 1.5 second, which I wonder was enough turbulent air to allow Lando to do nothing. Rinse and repeat 53 times or whatever it was, and pop the champagne, go back to bed.
I mean, even like you say, even Lando and Oscar and Max in the cooldown room said not much happened. Or as Oscar, I think, they watched the whole highlights. It was done within like 12 seconds. He goes, "That was it? That was the whole race?" Yeah, that was the whole race.
Yeah, I think then Lando said, nothing happened.
So I have an idea.
Yes, you're right, Lando. Nothing happened.
I think what we should do is borrow from Rallycross, where they have a Joker lap, where you have to go at like one lap out of all the races. You have to go a different direction or take a different turn. Since it's the only figure eight track, I'd like them to cut a little jump where you have to jump over the thing beneath. And one lap out of all 53, you have to take the jump. And I know Joker's not a classy enough word for F1's fans, so we'll call it the Jester lap. And you have to kind of jump over the track in the figure of eight to make it Dukes of Hazzard style. I agree. I don't really have much to say. Lewis took Isaac on DRS on lap 6. That was the only change in the top 8 the entire race. Yes, they pitted, and I got so excited. I literally was watching it, and I'm thinking, okay, this is where this will be exciting in the pit stops. And I started recording in my notes where people were positionally with others. So, for example, George pits to hard from 5th behind Charles and ahead of Kimi. And so I was going to see if he came out in the same spot. He did. It didn't matter. Now, I went extra hard on the notes to see if this made any difference. Didn't matter. I did this for everybody. What a waste of my time. I was like entertaining myself. Well, and it didn't matter. The thing I would say is this. In summary, since you kind of summarized quickly, Carlos Sainz in Spanish apparently means cut the last chicane. Because every time they showed Carlos, he was cutting the last chicane. He was locking up and going through. He is nowhere in that Williams. He'll figure it out. He'll do better, I hope, but it's not what I was anticipating. I would say Isaac, great job in Qualy, great job holding on to his spot there. Yes, he lost one position to Lewis, but he was way ahead of Liam, who was doing whatever he could with wild strategy, softs and this and that, and it didn't work for Lawson. It was incredibly boring. Max is a very talented driver. Could you imagine if that Red Bull car were even better and how far ahead he'd be of people? And I don't mean like RB19 better, but even better than it is now. He's that good. And yeah, you're right. The Lando thing. Lando's like, oh, he cut me off. Max did nothing wrong. Max pulled out of his pit box, drove down onto the track, and Lando looked like a lunatic out there trying to like cut him off with things.
I mean, some people online were sort of saying, "Oh, McLaren screwed the strategy." I don't think they did. I just think a series of unfortunate events turned their hand. The undercut looked pointless. Nobody that was going in was coming out really was undercutting. It just wasn't happening. So then George pitted, I think, and after a few laps started to pick up some pace on the hards. So McLaren were like, "Oh crap, we're going to have to cover that off." So Oscar came in. Well, of course, as soon as Oscar comes in, Lando has to come in next lap, really.
Yeah.
And then Max just followed in as well. They all came in together. So I don't know. McLaren could have done much different. There's an argument for letting Oscar through and seeing if he could have taken a run.
I don't
at
think that one.
Max,
I
but
disagree with that one. I do think they
Yeah,
should have tried something different. I agree with Jack during the race and even early. They have you need to put pressure on Max. If you're going to try to win, you don't just follow the Red Bull strategy. You differentiate. And I don't mean in a way where you're going to lose, but why didn't they? And I know the drivers may not have wanted this, and in the end, it would not have mattered. Like what I'm about to say is pointless anyway. Like half the teams, 11th onward, were pointless. But when you look at it, why didn't they try to box Lando early from second, try an undercut, which wouldn't have worked? Again, I'm acknowledging this. They still would have finished second and third. See if Red Bull reacts, and then have Oscar go long to get track position and hope for a safety car or a yellow flag or something. But they never put any pressure on Red Bull. They just followed the script.
True.
And so that's my point. That's where I'm with Jack. I think I would have liked to seen some kind of we're trying to take it to you as opposed to the race started. We know we're going to finish second and third, so we're just going to lock up second and third, which is what they did.
Bring it home. Yeah, because I think we end up with, Max did a phenomenal job. So we get Max from Lando from Oscar, Charles, George, Kimi. So up to 6, everybody in the same order as they started.
And Kimi, by the way, great race. Great race.
Oh,
by
yeah,
Kimi,
yeah,
again.
great. Lewis and Isaac swapped places, and Albon and Behrman 9th and 10th. So in the top 10, I think it was Andy on the Discord made a great little joke about the only thing that really swapped places in the top 10 for the entire race was one letter, because Ham and Had, so an M for a D, swapped around, and that was all that happened in the entire top 10.
That is. And otherwise, there was very little beyond that, too. A lot of people finished around the same place, give or take a spot.
Yeah, there was just nothing. I was just desperately looking for anything. Like, is there an overtake we missed? Did something happen? Did anybody get spicy? And just no. And I just think, I was tired and angry when I was writing these notes, but I was like, just maybe mandatory 2 stops for every race all season.
Oh, no.
Just because I can't remember a 1-stopper that any of us have enjoyed, and this one's even worse.
Oh no, I've enjoyed a bunch of 1-stoppers. That's not true.
Oh, I don't know. Every time it's a 1-stopper, we come on here and moan about tyre management because that's all that happens in the first.
But there was no tyre management here. They're going pretty flat out because the tires had no dent.
They didn't need. Well, this is what I was going to say. This is even the worst of the worst because they didn't even need the tyre management because they could have run the whole race on these. Why are Pirelli bringing C1, 2, 3 here when that's?
I mean, if it's warm out, which it wouldn't have been that warm yet, but if it was warm out and sunny. And it was fairly newly resurfaced. You could have seen day. I don't know. I'm trying to find excuses. It was bad.
It was bad. Should we King of Pits and Pits it?
I don't even know how I'm going to differentiate for this, but sure, let's go with King of the Pits. We'll try to invent something here. Whoops! It helps if you hit the right button.
You're the king of the pits.
All right, I'm going to go first. King of the Pits, Max Verstappen. He had a great quali lap, ran a perfect race, made no mistakes, didn't cut the chicanes at all, didn't lock up, did a flawless job. He's a driving robot from the future. We should all emulate the way he drives. He is the man. You're up.
Same. The Pits.
Okay.
You're the Pits.
I don't know if I mean, everyone just kind of drove. I mean...
Well, I gave it to Pirelli last week, and I'm giving it to them again. I think they're ruining Formula One for me. Like, your whole job is to give us tyre compounds that degrade, not bulletproof tyres that can last the entire race. I said it last week. I don't want to see danger. I don't want to see tyres that are dangerously falling apart. Just either bring the softer one and just let people moan that they're degrading too quickly, because at least that gives us something. But this is just pointless, Pirelli. You're my pits for 2 weeks in a row.
I'm debating between Lance, who I don't know what happened. He was 20th and terrible. Alonso was 11th. I'm not giving it to Yuki. His first time in the car, they gave him all the downforce, which was clearly not needed. I'm still on Team Yuki here. Let's see what ends up happening. So I'm debating between Lance, Liam. I know they were throwing stuff at the wall. Isaac was 8th. Liam was 17th. But I can't give it to him either because I feel like they were just going for whatever they could, trying to make something happen. I appreciate that. So I'm giving it to Carlos. 3 races in a row, he's crashed under the safety car, made no impact in China, and made no impact in Japan. And
Okay.
Alex, at the same time, was 9th in the points, behind everybody he should have been behind the top 4 teams. Just, yeah.
Okay. No, that's fair. That's fair. Right, can we move on to Bahrain preview? Because I just want to put Japan behind us. I just don't want to spend another minute talking about it.
We can do that unless can we do a quick fantasy?
Oh, if you got it, just do a quick one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course I do. So for the Japanese Grand Prix, right now, and it looks like it's done calculating, Nick Magos, Shoeies for Piastri, who commented on Twitter that he enjoyed the shout out. Well, you're getting it again because you're first. Although we did use a big extra DRS chip, but that's still worth it. Made it happen. We had Mark with Aussie Rules F1, CIDI, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. High fives. Petros Zuzokos in 4th. Mark with Oliver Beerme, which, by the way, excellent name. Rob Vale in 6th place. Beans means signs, but since you're in 6th, I'm going to go to 10th. Michael, ABCDEFGF1. Sergio, No Fuel. Matt, How You Dohan. And in 10th, Brian with Dirty Side Sap. I was how far behind, Rob? 8 points, so not that far. But congratulations, Rob, on a nice finish at this point, and that puts the top 3 for the season. Not a shocker at number 1, Andy Tails. Tails, I win. The fantasy guru expert. He understands the algorithms, the math, and the algebra. Roman, RRM F1 team, and Sigma Andy F1 fantasy tip. And sorry, shout out to Renato. We are checking in 4th for the season. But yeah, okay, close out Japan. Let's not talk about that anymore.
So hopefully next week, as part of the triple header, we will get a great race because it's built out in the middle of the desert. They had loads of room to be able to build a great track.
I like it. I like the race at Bahrain.
I like Bahrain as well. I just, I think the only reason we never liked it as much because we didn't think it should be the season opener. But, that's a petty argument. It'll be the 21st running, 57 laps with 15 corners. Yeah, I love it. Last year, though, it was the beginning of the season. We thought we were going to get more Max domination. He delivered his 5th career Grand Slam, meaning he basically did everything. What is it again? Fastest lap, pole position, win the race, lead every lap, isn't it?
Yeah, correct.
Yep. Checo, if you remember him, and Carlos Sainz, if you remember him.
I mean, I know the names.
Finished on the podium.
I haven't seen either one on TV much this year.
Apart from he's cutting chicanes.
Yeah.
And it was the first season opener in F1 without any retirements.
Oh God, don't say that. I don't want another 20 cars finish, no yellow flags.
I don't mind if 20 cars finish if we have excitement.
Excitement or something.
Something.
Somebody wake up. It's like the meme with the alien thing with the stick and like poking it, like do something. Yeah, I love Bahrain. I love in 2020, was it, when they ran it as the short, where they went twice in a row because of COVID, and they did Sakir Grand Prix, which was the short, Bahrain short. I loved that. That was so much fun. That was a chaotic race too, where didn't George deputize for Lewis when he had COVID, and then George and Valtteri were battling, and I think that was the one Checo won, his first ever win. Again, I'm maybe getting this all hosed up, but also I got a relatively new car, or new to me, it's a used car, but I got it fairly recently, and the interior color is Sakir orange. So I'll just leave it at that.
Nice.
This is now an even more favorite track for me, which is basically red. It's basically.
Well, in terms of favorite tracks for people, it's one for Lewis. He's out there at the moment with the most wins at 5. Mr. Vettel is in second with 4, Fernando Alonso with 3, and Max Verstappen and Felipe Massa with 2. So that's the drivers that we have there. And for repeat winners, Ferrari have 7, Mercedes have 6, Red Bull have 4, and Renault have 2. So, yeah, I'm not seeing much in the Ferrari pace that's getting me that excited that they will either add to that constructor win or a Lewis win. So I'm kind of thinking, I'd be leaning towards a McLaren, but if they're starting to get some performance to give to Max out of that Red Bull, who knows? I think Max starts becoming more part of the conversation I was expecting.
And I recognize Ferrari got DQ'd twice last week. So they're a third race down on everyone else in terms of standing numbers. But to your point on them not having pace, the startling statistic of the day is if you look where every other Ferrari drivers are in the driver standings, Lando's first. Max is 1 point behind him. Oscar's about 10 points behind Max, 12 points behind Max. George Russell always in witness protection, always sniffing around to see what's going on. Hey, guys, remember me? He's right behind Oscar, followed by Kimi Antonelli, fifth in the driver's standings at this point. And you're saying, well, surely a Ferrari has to show up at some point. Yes, Charles Leclerc, sixth. And you go, well, then I would assume Lewis. Wrong. Alex Albon is seventh in the Drivers' Championship before Lewis Hamilton. Again, I know the DQ happened, but Lewis wasn't really anywhere to start with before he got DQ'd.
No.
So, you're right. Ferrari's pace does not look good at this point. And the Mercedes looks like it might actually be drivable, and Antonelli may be better than we gave him credit for coming in. So there's a lot of curious opportunities to happen here.
Well, and other opportunities to happen is to get our next 3 games set up.
I'm so not ready for
games.
this.
I know, but I'm going to spring a new one on you because we're going to keep roulette, blackjack, and 3-card poker, but we've swapped out the Lucky Sevens Jack Doohan for bingo. When we get there, I'll explain it. But let's just get through the ones we know and love. So I put the sound effect if you've still got it there for the roulette wheel. Do you want to spin the roulette wheel and tell us what position we need to predict? Here we go for Bahrain.
9th.
9th, and I will let you have the honour, sir. Who do you have finishing 9th in Bahrain?
So this is a hard one because I want to, Racing Bulls are better than I thought. So now I've got, could Isaac go above 9th? Possibly. Does that mean...
Don't worry about above 9th. Just give us 9th.
I'm going to go Alex Albon.
Oh, rubbish. That's who I was going to pick. So if you didn't say that, I was going to say... I'm going to say Isaac. Okay,
right.
Spin us the wheel again for Saudi.
I shall do that. Here we go.
Where's it going to land?
Oh, boy. 14th.
Oh,
this is
okay.
hard.
14th, I'm going to throw in Bortoletto.
Really? That's a little high.
I know.
14th in Saudi, which is a difficult track. So you got a rookie that high up on a high speed in a Sauber. Okay, well you've already taken your finger off the piece. I'm just gonna say I'd be shocked if he's 14th. I'm gonna go with wily old campaigner who's gonna get his car around the track safely, but it's not a good car. I'm gonna go Fernando Alonso.
Okay.
A disappointing Saudi.
And last
race.
but not least, what are we looking for Miami, the first American one? What position are we predicting there? Come on, give us a one. Give us something spicy. These are all low.
Oh, 16. Oh, sorry.
16!
Should I spin it again? Should I spin it one more time? It's our game.
It is. It is what it is, Brian.
All right.
We're going to be doing this more for the rest of the season anyway, so...
I get to go first. Miami, 16th. Not as hard a track. A really long straight. Massive DRS opportunities. 16th. It's got to be a slow car. I'm looking in the Sauber range. I'm looking in the... I'm looking at Sauber, really. I don't think it's Haas, but it could be. 16th, I am going to say Nico Hülkenberg.
Oh, okay.
Just because we haven't used the Hulk in a while. So.
I'm going to say Lance Stroll.
Yeah, that's not a bad throw. We'll see what happens.
Okay. Right, on to blackjack. Now, this, remember, is pick 2 drivers where you got to add up to 21. Oh, I didn't give the update from Japan. We'll sort that out next time round.
I was going to say,
actually, you did well. Actually, you won the blackjack hand. You scored 15, I think, between the 2 Mercedes. I think you had George and Kimi, so you nailed it. Everything else we were pretty rubbish at this week. But anyway, so over to you for Bahrain. 2 drivers that add it together. The score's going to be 21.
Lewis and Charles.
Ooh, okay. Right, I'm staying away from any McLaren or Max because they're just gonna make me go bust. There's too much risk of them winning and going bust. So I'm gonna steal your pairing. I'm gonna say George and Kimi.
Nice. What happens when George ends up 3rd and Kimi's 4th?
I know. I risk it. Okay, Saudi.
You're first,
Saudi.
Yeah.
I'm first. I'm going to take Charles and George.
Yeah. This is hard.
What you got, Sat Man?
Boy. I need someone. I'm going to go. Oh, you already took George? Crap.
Yep.
I was going to do George and Alex. This is so difficult. Who's in the predictably
Oh my God.
fourth? George, and you used him, you punk. And then Charles. All right, I'm gonna go with. Here we go. You're gonna like this. Isaac and Lewis.
Ooh, okay.
I'm going with mentor mentee, even though
Nice,
they're not
nice,
actually
nice, nice.
mentors and mentees. It's I look up to you and I don't know who you are, but okay.
So you get a chance if you're really loving it for George. Then Miami. What's your pairing for Miami?
See, but now people are bringing upgrades by this point. But yeah, I'm still taking
Oh, my
George. I'm
gosh.
still taking George. He's a perfect fourth. I'm taking
Okay,
George, and then his wingman is either going to be Kimmy, or it's going to be Charles, or checking, or maybe Lewis. We'll see. We'll get back to you. George and Kimmy.
Kimmy, it's a classic partnership. Right, I'm going to go big or go home on this one. So I'm going to go and try and pick up second spot and get 18 points.
Oh, good luck.
So I'm going to go Oscar
Danger.
and Doohan. He won't score any points for me. So I want
You're
all the way down
looking
the
for
bottom.
a zero. You're just taking.
I'm looking for a
Oscar.
zero. I
You're
want 18
and-
points. Yes.
Okay. I like it.
Okay, right. Over to 3-card poker, where to remind everybody, we just pick 3 drivers and we are looking for them to finish together on the track. So with no cars in between them, that would give you 3 in a row. And if you happen to pick the exact right order, then you get a straight as well. So that would be the winning hand. So you up first then, Brian. Who do you want as your triple play in Bahrain?
In Bahrain, I'll take Stroll, Hulkenberg, Bortoletto.
Oh, Stroll, Hulk.
Oh, what was I doing? I should have gone. Okay, that was dumb. That was
Okay,
a dumb
I'm gonna go with Lando,
Duh.
Mac, Oscar.
That's what I should have done. That was my mistake.
Yeah, I mean you went first, but you know
I
now it's
don't
me first
know.
in
Now you get to go
Saudi.
first again, so you could do the same thing to me. That's like I'm playing Connect 4 over here, and I just went all over the board and gave you.
I'm
the
not going to be that
opportunity.
mean to you. I'm going to
No,
go
that's fine.
George, Kimmy, Charles.
By the way, I love the fact we all kind of have Kimmy in this right behind George, doing a great job for all of
Exactly.
these things.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
He's
Right,
doing
what's
a
your
great
3
job.
for Saudi?
Well, Lando, Max, and Oscar, please. Actually,
Which order?
yeah, the order I'd like them in, please, is Lando, Oscar, Max.
Lando, Oscar, Max. Now you get to play first in Miami. So is that a double play of that hand, or are you going to come up with something different?
Man, that's straight. Who's got a fast but slippery but not great car otherwise? Doesn't matter. Lando, Oscar, Max.
Lando, Oscar, Max, and then I think I'm going to go at the lower end of the points and go Lewis, Alex, Isaac.
I like that.
Okay, right. Now,
I actually would have
Bing-
probably put Isaac above Alex, but that doesn't matter. 'cause,
Yeah, I know, but I'm just going to say that Alex has driven Miami before and has got the knowledge there to edge him out. Right, last one. Last game is bingo. So we drop the lucky sevens, predict where Jack Doohan finishes, just in case he gets punted before we have these. We'll go for a bingo card. And what you've got to do here for each one is you've got 4 things on your bingo card to fill out. So you've got to say safety car. Which quarter of the race, so 1, 2, 3, 4, will a safety car first get deployed in? Or no safety car. You can pick that. Retirement, same options as the safety car. Because it could be the same incident, but you're going to pick where will there be a retirement?
Any
Or
retirement
1, 2, 3, 4.
by anybody.
Any retirement. The first one to
If
happen.
there are
the first one to
multiples,
happen. Doesn't matter. If there's multiples that all happen at the same event, you're just picking which quarter of the race. We'll break the laps into quarters and say, when did the first retirement happen?
It's
Or
the
you can pick
first retirement or any retirement?
First retirement of any. The first the first in the whole race.
Got it. But if there's one every quarter, only quarter one wins.
Only the first one counts. Yeah,
Got
as in
it.
you are
Thank you.
predicting the first retirement.
Thank you.
Then you've got the homage to Captain America, I can do this all day, which is who is the driver to pit last on their opening stint of tyres? So who is the last person to complete their first pit stop? This is going to be a complete shot in the wind. And the last one is a complete random one. No poll for you. Yes, I've been watching too much Steinfeld, and it was the Soup episode recently.
No poll
Which
for you.
driver finishes in 11th? in Q2 and just misses out a shot at going after pole in Q3. So which driver finishes 11th in Qualy? All of those are easy for us to work out afterwards. I don't need any elaborate monitoring here. They're all facts we can look up. So Bahrain, give me your safety. You can go first. Give me your safety car, your retirement, your I can do this all day, and your no pole for you.
No safety car.
Right, no safety car in Bahrain. Okay, retirement.
Yes, I'm going to say third
Q?
quarter.
Give me a Q. Q3.
Third quarter. Yes.
I can do this all day. Who is the driver that goes the longest on their first stint?
I think they're going to end up letting the race leader or someone near the top do that because everyone else would be pitting. So I'm going to say it's going to be. I think McLaren's going to mess this up. I'm going to say Oscar.
Oscar. And then no pole for you. Who finishes 11th in qualifying in Bahrain?
Carlos Sainz.
Ooh, okay. So I'm gonna say Q1 safety car, first corner, probably first corner incident. That's where I'm gonna put my bets on there. Retirement, it will be Q1 because it will be the same incident that leads to the safety car. I can do this all day is going to be Alex Albon.
I think Albon's going to. No, he has done that. He did that in Australia a couple years ago where he pitted on the last lap. And there were like people in the garage.
No pole for you is Ollie Behrman.
Or on the pit lane. You got Behrman 11th. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
So now,
by the way, Ollie's also looking really good. Isaac and Ollie, those with Kimmy, those three rookies are looking something pretty special.
By the way, no, I agree. By the way, on this one, on the bingo card, you can pick the same thing as me. I don't think there's not enough variety here in the queues for safety cars, and unless you want me to say that.
No, let's say you can't have the same. No, but you go first this time and block me out of whatever you want. No double.
Well, Q1 for safety car, but Q2 for retirement. I can do this all day is going to be they're going to run one of the Mercedes. George is going to run long, and no pole for you is going to be Isaac in 11th. What you got then?
I definitely think there is a safety car in Saudi Arabia, and you took Q1, so I'm going to say Q2.
Okay.
Retirement, I'm going to say Q1. Someone's brakes are going to get really hot, catch a little fire. I could do this all day. Who's going to pit last?
Going to run long in Saudi.
I'm going to take one of the lower teams in Saudi who's going to start on hards and see how long they go into the race.
Okay.
And it's going to be Esteban Ocon.
Ocon, okay. Right. And no pole for you. 11th in Saudi is...
You took Behrman. No, you took Isaac. I'll take Behrman. Yeah. I'm taking Ollie.
Okay. Oh, if I could type, that would really help because God knows what I just wrote there. And then, last but not least, the bingo card for Miami. Fill up your bingo card then, Brian.
No safety car.
Oh, no.
And these are full safety cars, right? Not virtual, not VSEs.
No, full on.
Yeah.
Bert Lander or whatever is out in his car.
Bert Lander.
That's the one, yeah. Bert Lander. That's a new Hollywood film, yeah.
Yes. Zoolander's brother.
Bert Lander. Lander 2.
I'm going to say no for Miami, even though it's probably dumb. Retirement for sure. I'm going to say Q4. Someone's car just can't hang on for the whole race.
Yep.
I could do this all day. Who's pitting last in Miami? I like George. That's a good call you had before. He always loves to give it a try. We don't need any more tires, so we're good.
Exactly. And then no pole for you?
I'm going to go Behrman again. I see him really in this 11th area, like solidly, in a good way with that Haas. So I'm not knocking Ollie. I'm like, I could not sing the praises of Ollie, Kimmy, and Isaac any higher at this point.
So I think Miami does tend to give us some decent racing. I'm going to go for somebody doing a Hail Mary to try and get into the points or something stupid towards the end of the race and say Q4 for a safety car. You've got the retirement in Q4, so I'll just say there'll be a Q1. Somebody early, just an incident, not enough for a safety car, but takes them out of the race. I can do this all day. I'm going to go Charles. I'm going to go Charles on this one. And no pole for you is going to be Miami. Who's going to put a decent run together but just get pipped out? It's going to be Fernando. It's going to be Alonso. Alonso is going to be 11th.
That's also
Whew.
good shouts.
There we go. So those are locked and loaded. We've got 3 more races of casino games.
And next week, we can come back and we can do a Bahrain review. We could check our Bahrain games and the Japanese results.
Yeah, that does mean revisiting Japan, which I really don't want to do. So let me just, I got it here, right? So very, very quickly. In roulette, we were predicting 14th. You said Behrman, I said Albon. Didn't happen. I have to remember who was 14th, but we were wrong. You played a blinder with George and Kimmy for your blackjack and got 18 points. And I was disappointed because I had Oscar and Liam and got 15, but you win that hand. So well played you, sir.
By the way, 14th was Carlos Sainz.
Okay. Where does Duhan finish? I said DNF, and I was after my extra bonus point. That didn't happen because that would have meant something exciting happened in the race. You said P20, which makes you the winner just by virtue of I said DNF, but he finished 15th. So you weren't even close, but you still win that one.
I'll take the point.
And for the first time ever in 3-card poker, neither of us had any driver who finished next to one of our 3 drivers.
No
that we
way.
said. So you had Hadjar, Duhan, Bortoletto, and they were punctuated all by drivers. If you want to double check
very far apart. I don't know if I could have gotten them any further apart.
And I had Lando, Charles, and Lewis.
Yeah, not great either.
Yeah. So no.
Although yours are closer. Like Lando was
They're
2nd,
close,
Charles was
but
4th, Lewis 7th.
I've
Isaac
still
was
declared
8th. And then doing 15th and Bortoletto 19th. I really spread mine out, even though I thought they'd somehow be close. But regardless,
so I've still declared no winner on that one.
no one
I can't even say I was closest because I was closest, but we both still had no hand. We have no hand. Oh, there's my next Seinfeld reference. But anyway, yeah. So should we just bury Japan in the past and say
never talk about it again?
Never talk about that one ever again, and just look to Japan next year to just put right the wrongs of yesteryear. And we'll just look forward to Bahrain and get our midweek predictions in. Oh, which, again, to tie that one out, you got all 3 right, but not in the right order on the podium. I got 2 of the 3 out. So you've edged ahead in the midweek predictions, because on the first 2 races, me and you were absolutely neck and neck. We were both absolutely the same point scored. So you've taken a 1-point lead in the midweek predictions.
Are you updating these somewhere? Is there like a
Yes,
spreadsheet?
yeah. In the Rob versus Brian in the notes.
Okay. Just making sure, because it feels like I had a good week
definitely.
this week.
Yeah, you did. You didn't get any bonus points for the right step of the podium, but you nailed it by taking a risk on Max. So well done, you.
All right. I got no complaints. So we will not revisit any of the Japanese Grand Prix next week. We've finished out the casino games. We are all set. We appreciate everybody listening. It was a race today, and next week we'll have a good race, the Bahrain Grand Prix. Join us for a review of that in 1 week's time. Be well, everybody.